Welcome to
No.
Effortless Being, where it takes no effort just to be. I have a guest on the line. Well, hello.
Hi, Rob. How was your
Hi.
day?
Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell everybody your name and where you're from.
Maria? Maria Kefalogianni. I originate from Crete. I don't know if you've ever been to
Yeah.
Greece
No, but
before.
I hear it's beautiful in Greece.
Yes. Yeah. So I am from Crete, but I've been living in the UK for the last 17 years
Oh,
in Manchester with my three kids and my husband. And
nice.
yes, I left in 3 days. Gosh, feels like a different era. I
Yes.
left I left with the words, I need to leave to go and meet myself.
So
That
tell
was
the
it.
audience how we came about, how you met me, or what, or how this whole connection came about.
I think I commented on Raymond's video the other day and you've sort of went, I'd love to speak to you. It's like, oh, okay. Well, it was an interesting moment because where I currently am, which is feels like an infinite free falling into this embrace. And I've made a decision to go one day in my main job. So there's been some kind of echoes of fear emerging in the gut. And I had one of these beautiful moments that I call the gravitas of surrender. Sort of the pull that sort of pulls you back into that knowing. There's nothing to fear. And I felt that tag in my solar plexus, and instantly I saw the email from you. So these moments happen daily now. It's just no special it's the new call and response. Life is a call and response. So
Effortless. Effortless
yes,
and easy synchronicity, just flowing with
yeah.
effortless being.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Effortless being, what resonates with you when I say effortless being?
This moment here now, here we are. We're alive. We're having this conversation. What will come? It feels like one foot is on the threshold of what will be birthed from this. What can, and I love that. I love that liminal. I love to call that the liminal in life.
Spontaneity and not knowing what's coming. Nothing's rehearsed. We just flow with whatever wants to arise in this space of beingness that we all are. I know you had said in your email, you were part of
Mm.
a group about self-realization. Maybe tell people your seeking history and how you came to self-realization and that kind of thing. Anything come to you when I say that?
Yes, yes. Well, I always had that. It's really funny because I haven't really told my story to many people. So and the story when it's fading, I have to kind of pause now and kind of
Yeah.
retrace the memory back of whatever comes. But I've always had an open tab, I'd call it. Since I was a child, I always had that capacity to hear messages since I was little. The
Mm,
voice of grace, what I call it. I was given a very clear message, I will die in my mid-30s. And I did. That was when the Big Bang happened. I was 35.
mm,
And I was a very anxious child and I'm a neurodivergent, and I think a lot has to do with the brain wiring. Highly sensitive empath that could really listen through and feel through and sense through the lies and deceptions and the incongruence around me from where I was growing up. And and I recall even as a child, the thought that I might die tomorrow would bring me instant sense of peace.
yeah.
So now it makes sense. Now it all makes sense. It was me dialoguing with me all along.
And so,
Mm.
so how did you get to self-realization where you realized your true nature? So you were seeking and then tell the story, what happens?
My seeking didn't last long, and I would say I never really knew I was consciously seeking. I
Yeah.
just followed vision. I just that my path has been. I never followed a specific school. I'm a bit too wild, too untamed, too hard to fit into a box anyway because of my neurodivergent. wilderness. And but I always kind of had a bodily felt sense, knowing and following the breadcrumbs, what I call, and just following that voice. But I never had a concept around it, or I never had a story of what this was. I just had a knowing.
Mm.
And I remember, so my very first perhaps um, moment was when I came to the UK, that listening to those words, I need to leave to find myself. Growing
Mm.
up, it was fascinating. And I love my story and my lineage is very important to me. It's like we do so much to empty of our stories, but then the whole point is to really reclaim the story that's behind the story of who we were. And in that way we honor the true essence of us. Um, so that's I came to study my counseling and psychotherapy in England. And I had a boyfriend who introduced me to self-inquiry. So my journey began straight in the deep end.
Oh, okay.
Not even with meditation, just straight in self-inquiry, which kind of fits with the high intense voltage of energy that I bring, that I
Mm.
do. And so I was doing self-inquiry. I had lots of melting moments, but I didn't have any other concept of what these were. I never was reading, around that. And that continued, ebb and flowed. I never made too much of a fuss, never really created that kind of hungry seeking, put it that way.
Mm.
But I kept returning all on my own, sat on my sofa in the living room, eating popcorn, listening to Muji, because it
Muji,
felt
yeah. Yeah.
it felt good.
Yeah.
So that's what I kept doing. And then I heard, okay, now it's time to go and meet Muji. And so I went, my very first retreat. So it was very spontaneous kind of, I wasn't going with a plan or with I have a very kind of a very innocent, curious mind. And I think that was a blessing from the start.
Yes.
And
And then
and
after
that
Muji, what happened after Muji?
that's when the shift into the I am happened.
Um,
Yeah, it was
did you hear
beautiful.
about Muji through The Greatest Secret through Vonda Byrne with David Bingham and that whole thing, or no?
No, my ex at the time introduced him to me. So I had got a couple of his books and I kept tuning into his satsangs, you
No.
know, listening, just receiving, and that inner knowing kind of keep returning and warming.
Mm.
And then the time arrived and it was very clear voice, this is the time to go and meet him. And I went and I actually did meet him. Like we had a hug,
Oh, nice.
it
Did
was
you ask him a
beautiful.
question or anything, or?
It was the passing, when the whole retreat was
Yeah.
sort of was finishing and I have a picture
Beautiful.
with him. So yeah, and I blasted, feels like it was a blast into the abyss. It feels like a blast into timelessness.
So if I were to ask you, what are you, what would you say?
Well, the classic non-dual thing that you hear, everything and nothing. But the actual living reality of it is the embodiment of what we've discovered. That's what I'm interested in, and that's what I am deepening in. So it's the very first pop, the cork pops. And then there's another whole other journey that's evolving. There was a lot of shadow. My journey has been very much the descent. It's descent and ascent in a very kind of spiralic, creative, very tantric in many ways, through the body. It makes sense in my story as a psychotherapist. My job is to hold space for people doing the shadow. So
Yeah, I notice
my
your
job.
title says presence-centered psychotherapy. What does that mean? Presence-centered psycho. How is that
Mhm.
different than regular psychotherapy?
I don't know what your experiences of therapy you ever had have been. I was trained in the person-centered approach, which is a very non-pathological, very much, following the client and the client's lead, and it felt really resonant to that source, me, right? The love, they talk about, the empathy and the compassion. And when the person burst into galactic dust, when I was
The person's gone into galactic dust. I love that.
It's just how it felt. It felt like I was just stripped naked to my bare being. I had a Kundalini awakening in January 2019, spontaneous again. I didn't know what that was. I was the first boom in my very first shamanic ceremony. So my intense seeking lasted probably 6 months. There was this compelling hunger all of a sudden emerged through me. I was going to workshop. I was like, what's happening? And that's when the message came, and I went to Muji. And then what happened, I really saw I've always been here. Why have I been looking? Knocking on a door to see that I've been inside. And I've been knocking from the inside. I've always been here. And it felt like the mind, but also the heart blasted. So I felt so much in love and bliss and tears of joy. And we cannot put words to these experiences, but we can return to the frequency they carry. We just recall them. And I remember coming back and trying to communicate to colleagues, psychotherapists. I had a very brief period of trying to tell people what happened. I had no concept of what awakening is at that point. So I was just trying to communicate what had happened to me. And one colleague said to me, "You sound more accepting of yourself." I was like, no, no, no. This is so much deeper. Acceptance felt very superficial. Of course, an ingredient necessary, right? But it's not arising from a limited self. There was never non-acceptance to begin with.
Right.
There
It's
was
kind of like the
never,
cosmic joke because everybody's out there searching and seeking for what they are. They're going to, different teachers, maybe non-duality teachers. They're online searching like Muji or Rupert Spira or, whatever they, or maybe they try to get through therapy or self-improvement because they feel like something's missing, something happens in their life and they go on this seeking journey. But the whole time, the cosmic joke is you
yes.
are what you're looking for. It's been here the whole time. And we're all of us are remaining as the infinite being, the effortless being, whatever you want to say, pointing to this clarity of what this is and the immediacy of this perception that's here. And we're out there going outside of ourselves, thinking it's something outside of us, but we are what we're looking for. Like you said, it's from the inside. It's been here the whole time.
Yeah.
We're all remaining whole and complete already. How does that resonate when you're doing psychotherapy with people now? Because you kind of know everyone is the infinite being. They're already whole and complete. And it seems to me with my experience with psychotherapy and psychology and stuff, a lot of times they're looking at the person as if they're broken and they need to be fixed.
Mhm. It never was my lens to
Oh,
begin with. It was never ever my lens. And somehow, and I never could understand it at the time, it was just following again the presence of the moment. I somehow seem to always have this trust in the person being the expert. And I guess the approach that I was trained in was kind of, nourishing that. And in the offering of the therapy at the time, I was also receiving, of course. Yeah. But I wouldn't call myself, I mean, I'm a psychotherapist. There was a time that I felt, do I just let that go now? What is this? There was a
yeah.
time
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was
What do you
feeling
do now?
bored.
Yeah. What do you call it now? Like, what do you do now? How does it change?
Well, the person has moved into presence. So this is how this emerged. I
Yeah.
was like, I've had a period of like a year long relaunching, relaunching to the world what I am and what I'm doing and how. And then I was just emerged. It's like, well, Grace gifted you this path for a reason. There's nothing that is ever not serving us on the path. We cannot discard. Everything is a gift, right? So it was very clear. It was so clear. You're not a person anymore. You're a presence. So, okay. So presence and psychotherapy, it was just so effortless. It was just so obvious.
Yeah.
How
It
clarity
does
is
seem
like,
very obvious now that you point it
yeah.
out.
I mean, I can be very daft. It's like, and that is a blessing, actually. I think answers are for the fools, right?
Answers are
Because
for the
in the end, it's a mystery. Who can have the total
unknowable
and the unknown? Yeah.
and being okay with the unknown or not knowing.
Yeah. So somehow I have ended up being a bridgeless bridge of weaving both East and West in this. And and so much more has been birthed, and I work very intuitively. There's no map, there's no, I meet people where they are, and I feels like a gardener. It feels like I'm doing a job of it. The garden is already blossomed, and I'm helping people to recognize they're already this bloomed flower,
Yes.
but it takes their own hands to really go in to, to water the seeds and to see it. And I've also been a trainer in the psychotherapy field for 14 years, and training therapists to be supervisors, to hold space for therapists. So I've done a lot of, I guess I've been exposed to many students, hundreds of students throughout the years, at different stages perhaps of awareness and developmental sense of where they're at. So that has equipped me with a kind of an intuitive knowing to know when to hit when the iron is striking hot with
Hmm.
the non-dual pointer, and when to just let the transmission do the work. And it's a lot of it. I hate using that new age kind of but it
I know,
seems to
I know
be,
what you're pointing to. I think the audience that's listening will know too what you're
yeah,
pointing. Yeah.
it seems to be what's occurring. And yeah, I mean, I have a very analytical mind at the same time, right? So this is the ADHD, ASD, which is
Mm.
kind of, it's another gift, but the poles I had to integrate into this wholeness, you know, it's just fascinating.
Yeah,
And
what's
I love
emerged?
what I'm doing.
Yeah, what's emerged for me is I do something called mirror calls. So I'll get people who book a call with me and they'll get on a call with me and I just kind of hold up the mirror for them. It's not me doing it, but it's this presence or this infinite consciousness doing it. And when I'm looking at them, like I'm looking at you, I see you as
Yeah,
the infinite being. I see you whole and complete
yeah,
already. And so I just hold them in that space. So even though they're telling me
exactly.
their story about limitations, I don't see
Mhm.
that. I see you as
Yes,
whole and
that's
complete.
right.
I'm just holding that
Mhm.
space and I'm just mirroring that back.
Mhm.
But it's like the presence is doing it. It's not so much I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of
Yeah,
just I'm just in the space.
emptying.
Huh?
It's emptying out, isn't it?
Yes.
To allow us both to be held by something much vaster.
That's beautiful. It's
Much,
beautiful to feel held in the
yes.
presence.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many things happen in those moments. Words might come through, and there's filters through psychological language that can be explained. Like intuitive felt sense, gentling. I can give you all sorts of theoretical, but and what happened is that blasted. I see me in every client. Is what you're talking about. That
Yeah, you see yourself in everyone,
one.
right? Yeah, like I
Oh,
see myself in you.
but this happens in my life with such uncanny mirroring.
Yeah.
Like I will work on a specific, or I'm being worked in a specific theme that may emerge, and the client comes to mirror that. There's literally oneness
Yes.
walking through.
So it's like the infinite being in disguise everywhere, or the
Yeah,
presence in disguise everywhere as appearing as everything, because
yeah.
everything is you, but it's just taking on that form or that life experience. But if you can see it as yourself, then that's almost like unconditional love and compassion arises in anything that appears in this space of beingness.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. And the embodiment, the infinite surrender is the remnants of separation. And it's becoming very immediate, like just like the moment I described to you, I felt that tug and the miracle you came through. This call and response is it's so alive, it's so rich, and we can never own it. So it only invites deeper and deeper and deeper surrender.
Surrendering to what is and being okay with what is, because everything that is what is the presence itself. That's this space of beingness. So all points of view of awareness are within this container of awareness, where everything is the same and everything is you and everything is welcome and everything is included. Is that we don't repress anything. I'm sure you probably heard this in your field too about spiritual bypassing. Maybe say something about
Mm.
that from your perspective.
Yes, I mean, again, grace gives everything, right? So spiritual bypassing can also have its play.
Mm.
It may help people to survive some wild rides of tsunamis. And if we bring trauma informed perspective here, you know, we have a saying in Greece, you're only gifted by God what you can tolerate. And it's like the deeper the container, or the more regulated the nervous system, the more waves we become the ocean. We're not the wave anymore. We become the ocean that can hold the wilderness of the sea that we are,
Mm.
and the calmness of the sea, and everything is included. So spiritual bypass, I see it as another wave in this oceanic, boundless beingness. And yes, and my journey, perhaps looking back, it feels clear that there was, we can call it the Shiva consciousness, more embedded.
Mm.
And it was motherhood for me that broke me wide open into
Very.
the descent of Shakti, because as above, so below. And so my journey, and because I'm a psychotherapist, so I'm really versed into being with the shadow and dancing in the shadow. But even as a child, I had that capacity, and I have a lovely, lovely upbringing, but also have my own baggage of big time wounding. And it's more collective in my story, you know, very oppressive patriarchal conditioning for women, for have crazy stories. I have books in me, you know. And when my mom would beat me, I would look her in the eye and I'll say, it doesn't hurt. And I would feel this fire of rage, but also compassion for her. Like, she has forgotten. And I always was able to somehow attune to that deeper intelligence. Now, and my journey was about reclaiming the wholeness of me, because this has been my pattern, abandoning me for the service of others. So rage was personally my clarifying force, which is very shamed in spiritual communities. We cannot be angry.
Right.
No, 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 no. This is about the aliveness of being,
Mm. Love
right?
that.
So nothing is to be shamed or held against us. In the darkest shadows, there is a deep, deep medicine.
Mm.
Deep medicine. So the fire, which only later I found out it's called the fire of purification. The last 9 months, just coming at the end of that, I feel as it burned any other remnants of separation in me.
Mm.
It 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 was, I've never experienced anything like it before. Shakti. It was Shakti. I was breastfeeding my, I think you're a dad as well. You
Yes, I'm a
mentioned
dad, three girls. Yep. Yep.
three girls.
Three
Oh, got
girls.
it
Yeah.
too. The magic three. It's hands up, full on deck, right?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, two boys and a girl,
Nice.
and yeah, I've got, wow, my surrender girl was, it's got a lovely story. Just so much to say. But I was breastfeeding her, and I was knackered. Like, I didn't plan to have a third baby.
Mhm.
And I've written that in my book, so I can say that. You know, I was like, that's it. No, I've got it all planned. What are you doing? You know, what am I supposed to be doing now? The decision maker and the controller of life had a big chip by that point, you know, but there were still remnants of ego clawing to a specific way of things going. And she arrived and
Mm.
broke all of that. And I was going for an abortion. I just went through that process. And I had a retreat that I booked. It was accidentally booked. And I had a whole 360 turnaround. And I cried and I ate silence like communion. And I fell into this deep conviction, life will decide. It's not down to me. And it was so strong that, you know, the message was, if it's meant to be, the pills will never arrive.
Mm.
The pills never arrived. Came back 2 weeks late. And I was yo-yoing between these two states still, of surrender and control, and fear and surrender. And what am I doing? Time was ticking. And until the surrender happened, and I said to my friend, I'm keeping here, life's decided. And the day after, the pills arrived.
Mm. Beautiful.
And I have so many stories like that, like so many stories that
So
life
it's
is
almost
short.
like you're resting as like effortless being or the presence. You're kind of just resting as it, and it's all just flowing and just happening automatically. Like there's not like it's not like a perceived doer here doing it and
Yeah.
controlling the outcome. It's almost like you're just kind of just resting back. And it's kind of
Mhm.
like that's the way it's always been. It's just that
Yes.
the mind or the thoughts come in and wants to take claim of it and say, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. But you go and look, there's no separate doer here. You're
Mm.
just resting as effortless
Yeah.
being and it's
Yeah.
all flowing.
Yeah. And I think thoughts have a bad rap. I might sound a bit unconventional in this. As a
No, say
neurodivergent,
it. Like all thoughts are welcome. But it's just
yes.
that I just think the problem comes in is when people personalize the thoughts and saying, oh, this applies to the separate Rob me that's broken and needs to be fixed. And instead of just letting them arise they're actually just arising effortlessly. We always say the sky and the clouds are just like clouds, like thoughts. But then we want to grab onto the thought and personalize it and squeeze it and make it so big when it's just an innocent thought passing by. We don't
Mm.
have to personalize it.
Yeah, they carry energetics though, don't they? What I find with the people I'm working with is the specific thoughts that repeat. And again, if we take it from everything is a gift
Yeah, I love
and
that. I love that.
everything is a gift, like even the most repetitive, useless thought, so I am rooted in that. I
Yeah.
am rooted in that and soul rooted in that perspective. I see my clients, well, let's look at the medicine. And what we often find is a knot, I can call it an energetic knot, entangled, which could be a remnant of trauma lingering in the system. And love for me is the frequency, and love untangles it. I don't do any inquiry on thoughts the way I work. No need. Sometimes when people are, need to sort of go a bit more clear, but trust and finding the medicine and the untangling just happens on its own. It's just
Naturally, right? Effortlessly, just naturally.
naturally.
As long
Yeah.
as you don't try to mess with it, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And I find that people, even though that can feel a bit of a kind of loop that they're stuck in, this is the more familiar and safe thing that they have never known. So I have a very deep respect for the
Oh,
defenses that people have had.
beautiful.
And that respect can be forgotten. People can go and become polemic, and then you have mind finding mind for forever without finding any portal of peace, actually.
So what do you think about there's some that teach like you should welcome all your thoughts. You want to process your thoughts, you want to feel your thoughts. Um, how do you see that?
There's a story behind every thought. There's a story behind every movement,
Mm.
right? So what I'm seeing, I mean, from where I sit with clients, it's just so clear. Although I say that, I'm always holding, I might get it wrong. I always check because the client is the expert of their lives, right? But where I am, it's so clear how their soul is moving, bring them back to
Beautiful.
wholeness.
Yeah.
It's just beautifully clear. And so all I do is what you said, I hold a clean mirror back. And I guess I also embrace and honor the way, perhaps because I'm neurodivergent and I spend my whole lifetime and even a short period in my life feeling shame. Oh, I cannot fucking meditate. I cannot sit on that mat and sit still. That's because my wild, defined feminine energy has always been so alive. And
Mm.
I try to feel shamed in so-called spiritual circles.
Mm.
So how do people process?
Yes.
I really look into that and embrace the uniqueness of the individual in
Mm.
that. So some people, I find it really difficult to actually sit and discover the thoughts because this is energy. I call it that for neurodivergent people, for sure. I can talk about my experience. The
Yeah.
dense energy, dense shower of grace. It's like the energy of descent is so alive, so rich. And autistic people want to steam because they have a really alive life force.
Ah.
And I have learned through my path to really wield that power. And when Shakti erupted, it ended up channeling two anthologies, poetry, one of it is out, and all profit goes to charity. And this was the energy. This is what we're here for, to actually get out of the way and allow this flow to really create. And it's a creative and destructive energy. It's a very, well, it's a fire of purification is known. And yeah, and it was a very intense 9-month gestation, which birthed my body of work, what I call the ancient mother spiral now. And I've always been spiralic, and a lot of neurodivergent people are spiralic, by nature. We are that.
Yes.
And so we return back to that nectar core all the time, but the spiral keeps moving, but we are the immovable behind it.
The immovable behind it. Love that.
Yeah.
So tell me more about this book you did for charity.
So that was when well, I'm an academic, as I said, so I went off sick on what what is called as burnout, right? So I reached a point I was like, I call it burn through. So I've written a blog at the times like, you can call it burnout, mate, if you want. I am burning through things that no longer serve, burning through me.
Yeah.
And I surrendered. Well, you know how this goes. The more we willingly surrender in our descent, the more we descend. I mean, I said recently to a friend, even the question, how are you, is obsolete to me.
Mm.
Right? It implies a one person individual. I can't answer this question anymore.
Mm.
It's how can I respond to that?
Yes.
But the questions that are more alive and in witnessing the genocide in Gaza, this is what really was part of this wild descent and the fire. I had a prolonged unity consciousness where
Mm.
all of this fire was birthing with a wild blaze poetry. I mean, 30 poems a day. Like, it was intense. It was wild. In the middle, ordinary moments of a mama's life of wiping little bums, cooking and stirring and loading laundries, all of this was happening. So it's not for the faint of heart. I'm not gonna,
Yeah.
sugarcoat it. It was a wild initiation. And this poetry came and I kept writing them. And then, I was like, what am I supposed to do with all of them? So again, the structure of the book was given as I was stirring the pot. And I heard, well, you're a mother. You've always been a mother. I always had that quality in me. And you know the birth process. This is your structure. So it was just became very clear. Right. And also during that period, I tasted what I only later found out to be called Amrita, the nectar. I couldn't even remember what tradition is, and I forget. Just just calm and nothing latches. But there was that sweet taste of nectar on the back of my throat, and a lot of Kundalini, because Kundalini has been with me. It's part of the journey. So that's the titles, Honey and Ash, and A Mother's Alchemy of Burn and Bloom. And I feel incredibly blessed because yet again on another gravitas of trust moment, I was sat in my garden and I was like, what do you want from me? What do you want me to do now? Those moments of fear, because fear also has a bad rap. But I
Mm.
because it's the friction the soul needs to leap forward.
Mm.
Yeah. And I received a message. My grandmother came to mind because a lot of these poems are about ancestry. I was composting ancestral rage and the grief of separation. I felt I became one with the mothers in Gaza.
Beautiful.
I was there. I
You really
just
felt it, yeah. Like
I
unity, consciousness,
the
yeah,
unity was
yeah.
powerful. I would cry. I remember one day. I would weep and weep, and I would say to my husband, my children are burning. My
Mm.
children are burning. So what is alive in me is I don't care anymore about the individual healing. Who are we moving as a we? This is where the burning question I'm sad with. How are we moving as a we?
Yeah, because there's no individual person here. It's
There's
unity
no.
consciousness. There's just this one beingness that's here.
Yeah,
That's
and
already
how
whole and complete.
yes, and how do we move that? It's already whole and complete, and we are in the biggest shit show we've ever witnessed in humanity. Right? So I'm not gonna sit up my back to say everything is complete because it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, because we're still
So
having the human experience, right?
yes.
We're still
Yeah.
having the human, although we're all remaining as the infinite being that's whole and complete, there's still this human experience that's going on that people are dealing with. Like you said, the mothers in Gaza and seeing that and the suffering that's out there in the world. Say something about suffering to people. Is there anything you can say to them, those that
So
are listening?
so much society conditions us to run away from our pain.
Mm,
And again, another message gifted from spirit, from source, however you want to call it, is it was so clear, again, congruent to my journey as a mother, that we arrive on this planet with a uterus contracting and expanding,
mm,
contracting and expanding. And that contraction, pain can be seen as a contraction, psychological pain,
mm,
but it's only our soul contracting us to rebirth ourselves.
mm.
So it's just so clear that we've arrived, the message is there. And yet we have believed this lie that actually life is without contraction. And I think perhaps if I don't buy into and maybe that was an older version of spirituality, transcendental, I don't know, but things are shifting. And I'm
Mm.
definitely not of that transcendental um, paradigm. It's a different journey for me. And I think it feels like we are being collectively invited to this collective rebirth. So suffering, we need to create spaces to really honor our despair for the world and to not be afraid of it. So, and we have a responsibility, how we're gonna move forward.
That's beautiful. I could feel the compassion and love and the safety, I would say, as you're speaking, even when the suffering is arising in the appearance and the mind's labeling whatever the life situation is as
Mm,
suffering. I feel the compassion and love when you're looking at it and you're seeing, the essence of what it is
yeah,
unconditional love, is presence itself. You
yeah.
can see the essence of what it is that's appearing, even though the mind's labeling it as something else.
Mm, yeah, and people want to deny it or avoid it or perhaps even fall again in that spiritual trap, with enlightenment. What bullshit. There's no suffering. Who said this pain is still here? There's just a bigger space to hold it.
Bigger
And
space to hold it. Yes, that's so
yeah,
true. It
yeah.
is still here, but it's just not so big anymore. It's
Yes.
shrunk down into this infinite space of beingness with compassion and love
Yeah.
engulfing it.
Yeah. And everybody's journey is unique. And it feels like my journey with this birth. I thought the book, that was it. And then, no, 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 there was more birthing to happen on the 9 month of my sick leave. I mean, you can't script this, like 9 months just stay. And I was gifted with what I now call the ancient mother spiral, which is like, yeah, of course, so obvious, which has the stages of my book, but it's a framework to dismantle separation. And I don't know where it's going to lead me, but it came in another deep, meaningful, and mystical experience. And it was a very intense descent of light energy that knocked me out. It was really, really potent. And then the shadows that came for the next 2 weeks, because this is it. People misconstrue shadow as limitation. It's like, no, 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 no. It's because there's the deeper light that's flashing what's no longer needed. So let's hold rooted trust in the light that we are to compost collectively even the shadow that's coming. So it's not the time to go into fear, I'd say, which is so tempting when you see children burning. So we need spaces that hold this. It's not hope either, because hope implies a future, doesn't it? It
Yeah, it
implies
does.
it's not that either. It's just now, this. It's infinity moving us to be of service for the whole and
It's
move.
just the immediacy of this, in the immediacy of this presence, there's no problem. It's the immediacy
Mm,
of consciousness or presence or whatever you want to say.
mhm.
It's that immediacy.
Yeah, there's no problem, and there is also a lot of pain, and there's a lot of joy and a lot of bliss. I
It's all
mean,
welcome, yeah.
yeah, everything is welcoming the
And it's
guest come.
okay, right? It's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay for it all to be here. We don't have to hide from it.
no,
We can welcome it and let it be here.
yes, everything is so welcome.
It's almost like neutral, like you're neutral to whatever's arising.
Hmm. Yeah,
You
that
find
you.
that you don't react as much when you see something that might the mind might label as
Mm.
disturbing in the appearance. Do you find that the reaction is more of one of curiosity or compassion and love for whatever it is?
Love. It's love pouring through. It feels in my system, it's love pouring through us tears, right? It's love pouring through us rage for justice.
Uh-huh.
It's love pouring through us, I don't know, bliss and causeless joy comes and finds you and meets you. So it's love. And the limitation we bring is we're afraid to touch our shadows, and they hide the deepest vessels of love that can break us open into this unity.
Mm.
This is what's been my experience
It's
through.
beautiful.
So very embodied, very, very embodied. Yeah.
There's a lot of people on this channel that are seeking. They feel like something's missing and they're seeking. Is there anything you can say to them that might be helpful or?
Mm-hmm. Well, seeking is beautiful, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's the fire of it's the fire of knowing with extra layers, longing to be undressed naked into the 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 emperor that's already there.
It's beautiful. Love
Yeah.
that.
So so it's fine, even seeking can have a bad rap, and people can leave retreats feeling, oh, I shouldn't be seeking, maybe I should stop seeking. You know, that's also seeking. So I'd say honor your seeking, let it be here. It's like everything is welcome. It's okay.
It's okay.
Because we can get caught into unspoken rules and how things should be in spiritual. It's like I was blessed. I never was part of big of spiritual groups and communities. I'm a bit of a rebel, maybe because of my upbringing and feeling consumed in my identity from community.
Yeah.
Perhaps it created this kind of, I don't believe in teachers, I don't believe in gurus in a hierarchy. And that's a healthy thing, I actually think. We don't need any more gurus.
No. Wouldn't you say that I mean, when it comes to self-realization, that it's all like everyone's even, there's no one like that has more knowledge than you have, that we have this inner intuition that's kind of guiding us when we feel open and expansive versus
Mhm.
feeling contracted. When we feel that, we kind of intuitively can know
Mm.
or resonate with a certain teaching that might come up, or we kind of just operate more from resonance, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And for that, people will need to slow down a little. Because we all
Ah,
know, we run, don't we? We run and we rush and
yeah.
the hide and seek we played since children,
Yeah.
right? The hide and seek game. Um, actually, I'm just remembering, even like that, I used to love being found. So I
Love
used
what?
to love being found in the hide and seek, even as a child,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You love
And
being
that,
found.
so that's interesting, is that we're everywhere. Every memory that we have lived is a portal to show the truth that's always been here, each and every part. I mean, every part. What was the question? I forgot the question, Rob.
Me too.
Yeah, memory goes. Do you find
I
that as well?
know it does. It's just because you're just in the
Memory.
moment. It's
Yeah.
whatever wants to arise.
Memories burst. Like it can become a big problem family-wise. We always swim in that not knowing anyway. We're not massive planners. I used to be a big planner, and that's part of
Now you're more
my.
spontaneous, right?
Oh, I never was truly, but part of my autistic side like needed a list that burst somehow, totally, utterly, just water. Now it's emerging, but it feels like it's an emergent structure, not
Mm,
imposed from a more limited sense of self.
mm.
It's still a journey to law of structure, actually.
Yeah. What
It's
would you say to people about integration? Like trying to, maybe they realize, I am the infinite being. I'm having the human experience. Of now I'm trying to integrate this into my everyday life.
it has its own ripe timing. There's no rushing it. There's no uh, having steps. Well, it depends how in tune they are with their own vehicle, the
Mm,
body, right? Um, but they say, don't they? We wake up from that cage, and then the next step is waking in,
mm,
right? And I would say the third stage, perhaps, where I am, is waking out, rippling out to the world from that place.
from that place.
That's my journey.
Yeah.
It's moving me outwards. It's like there was a time these poems were I had to express them because there was still a little bit of like the ego would feel like it was drowning, like drowning with inspiration, like something was coming in like a tsunami flow of creativity. It wasn't drowning, of course, I could hold it, but there was still this, it was too new, for that. So now it feels at any point I can tune in and I feel like I'm rooted in that liminal, that non-dual world.
Mm. So
Um,
non-duality resonates with you?
as a word, not anymore. Embodied non-duality, if there's a thing, more tantric. I'd say my path looking back has been more tantric, and I never even associated myself with that. But it was being body based and sensory based because of the gift of my neurodivergence. I've always said that neurodivergent people think with their body first before their mind.
Like the feeling, right? The feeling.
Yes, the tactile.
Yeah.
For me, it's all sensory based. Yeah,
Mm. What do
yeah.
you think about some people talk about the emotional scale? They talk about manifesting. They talk about feeling it first and then it manifests. Would you want to say anything about any of that?
Hmm. Abundance. You talk about abundance,
You say
right?
abundance. Sure, yeah.
Well, for sure, it's our true nature, right?
Yeah,
But
it's everywhere.
we cannot get it. We cannot go and get it from anywhere. We've got to step out of the way to be revealed to it. And abundance, I mean, abundance is, I can see abundance like this big umbrella, emotional abundance, financial abundance, um, relationship abundance, right? So for sure, I have had a lot of moments where I was like, that tug in the solar plexus, yes, or calling something in, but it's not me calling it. It's the surrender has been the established state, so that what emerges, there is a default trust in the divinity of that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and that inner outer is one. So life is showing. There you go. How
Like a mirror, right?
yeah, it's total mirroring. It is total uncanny mirroring. Yeah, yeah. The other day, for example, I made a poem about a slag with the eyes and the back and looking at the sky that is not limited, even anything that we encounter, even a slag, even a snail. And that was the concept of the poem. And my son came from school saying, we did this lovely story today about a slag
Oh,
with wings. It's like
mhm. That's adorable.
all the time. So so it is our natural state.
Abundance is our natural state, and you are abundance.
We are abundance. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's regardless of financial, like we could be different meanings. And people borrow meanings from, I don't know what it means, and then they create another costume to wear. And they try to, it's just like, oh, you know, we don't need any more onions to peel. So we are abundant. Yeah. And something isn't balanced, isn't it? Because collectively, it's a different picture shown, and can we have abundance if some of us are suffering? So this is back to the invitation. Can we move from abundance for the service of the whole? I really sat with that question myself and keep sitting and sitting. And then action emerges after the sitting.
The inspired action comes through.
The inspired action, or just action. And then it's like, oh, yeah, that makes sense now.
There's no like separate us doing it though. It just
No,
kind
no,
of just spontaneously,
emerges.
you just
Yes,
move, just kind of like
yes,
breathing or whatever. It's just we're being
that's
moved or
right.
lived or something.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm.
So for people out there that want to express this, because there's a lot of people on this channel that have realized their true nature.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Some of them contact me and they want to be able to, they feel like they want to express it, but they're not sure the
Yeah.
vehicle or to do
Yeah.
that.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
Well, that's the fire. That's the fire that needs to burn us deep enough until the emergent action emerges through us. We cannot rush this.
Yeah, it just flows automatic, right? You'll be so inspired to act, you can't help but act.
That's it. That's it. That was my poetry. Like I was not planning to write. I didn't sit down and just like this poems just came.
Yeah, me too. I write too. That's how it happens for me with
Yeah.
my books I have.
And the same with the Ancient Mother Spiral. It's like I wasn't expecting it was like, but I have to say, there's something about how deeply this fire is the fire of belonging. Because when I traveled through this deep initiation, this unity consciousness this past year, which everything was there, the sacred rage for what's happening in the world, which is actually fuel for passionate action, non-action. Um, and all of this was happening, right? And I still sat and prayed and I cried and cried and cried. And it's, what? I've seen all this. I've been gifted all this. Now what? How am I meant to? What is my vehicle?
Yeah.
And this is when the ancient mother spiral came. This is your map. So we're all looking for a map, and what's been revealed is my own dharmic embodied mapless map, right? So we need to really surrender and get out of the way. At least that was my journey, so that we become our own map for the world. It doesn't even feel personal. It's just a gift that's beyond me. I've got no clue how or
Love
where it's gonna lead me, like zero. Just, so then there's another sitting. I don't think it's just a continuous, how comfortable can we sit with the unknown?
Ah, that's beautiful. How comfortably can we sit with the unknown?
And how deeply can we receive the unknown?
It's almost like there's like a trust here or a deep peace, a peace that
Yeah.
surpasses all understanding and a trust in like infinite intelligence is doing it all or something.
Yes.
We
Yes.
can just rest,
Yeah.
relax in the relief that's here
Hmm.
in every appearance. There's always the relief is always here.
Yes. That's it. And that's another poem of mine is called The Sit of My Prayer, because it feels like I'm sitting like deeper and deeper in this galactic armchair, and
Yeah.
I'm held
Yes.
by invisible hands.
Feel that.
Yeah, and they keep pointing, the hands and the fingers keep pointing in here. And if
Mm.
we learn to listen to those liminal cracks in our day,
Um,
the liminal portals, it's like we are tuned to a reality behind the ordinary reality. What I say, the extraordinary in the ordinary, right? And it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Everywhere we look.
like this presence awake space is here underneath all of the appearance, it's holding it all. And it
And
is, even the appearance is it. It's just
yeah.
dynamic energy to
Mhm.
taking forms. But it's all
It's
beautiful.
it's an over-consuming love. It's an over-consuming fire of love, and the ego is afraid to be consumed. But actually, it's love longing to consume itself. Like it's becoming its own medicine in its own. It's the thirst and the quench in us
Mm. It's like the mirror is the medicine.
all at the same time. Yeah, yeah. And
That
and
was the
and
name of, that was the name of my book, Mirror is the Medicine.
uh,
I wrote that book because I saw a lot of people in psychotherapy or in therapist stuff. They were looking at people like they were,
limited.
yeah,
Yeah,
limited, broken, need to be
yeah,
fixed. So that book really highlights just holding
yeah,
them, like you were saying, how you
yeah,
do, as
yeah.
whole and complete in that presence and that love of all
Mm.
accepting of what they are and seeing them as the presence themselves.
Yeah, yeah. And then that presence, within that, the knots can rest. It's like the fear, the contractions can be
Relax.
that gap between contractions in birth, even
Yeah.
that gap where inhale, exhale, that and release.
Mhm.
And healing then appears as an emerging action, not something we have to go and seek. And I've always practiced that way, even unbeknown to me. And it's
Beautiful.
just only deepened and deepened the work. It's not even work, so I don't know how to call it. It's one dialogue, oneness. Yeah, it's
Beautiful.
beautiful.
I could really feel it, like the soothing energy from you. It's very
Mm.
soothing and relaxing and relief,
Hmm.
like you're just being held in that unconditional love of compassion.
Hmm. Like being cradled, like sang
Yes, exactly.
lullabies. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
Well, is there
And
anything else you wanted to express before we close out? We've been on the phone a
about
while.
gratitude, thank you for inviting me.
Oh,
Can I
you're a
show?
beautiful being.
Because this book is for charity.
Yeah, so hold it up and show it. How do we get this book?
It is released. That's ignore that. And
Okay, it's
then
on
people
Amazon
Amazon.
then? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put a
And
link to in the description so people can.
yeah, it's a book from life, so it goes back to life to support a Kenyan girl to do her nursing studies, jail, and I can send you the page as well if you wanted to put that.
Yes, please do. Send it. I'll post it on there. And if people want to do you offer psychology, present psychology work as well for people?
Yeah, presents, I do all sorts of things. I can send you my website and
Send the
if
website
people.
and we'll see if it resonates with anyone. I
Yeah.
encourage people to reach out to you. And
Yeah.
you have a beautiful presence about you.
Hmm. It's embodied non-duality with all the all the wisdom that I have gathered.
I
But
love that embodied non-duality. I love that.
hmm
Because
hmm
direct experience is king, is what I tell everybody. Having it in your direct experience, and like you said,
yeah,
feeling it, tangible, feeling it, living it in the everyday life. Not
yes.
just a word or just knowing it mentally, but bring it in aliveness into the everyday life, feeling
Hmm.
that,
Hmm.
knowing that in your direct experience.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, people seem to experience a very organic, smooth, very authentic dissolution of ego, you know? That's what it seems through the
Yeah.
work. So I don't take this work lightly, you know, and I never use the word, I never used to use the word illusion because it can scare people and then it can become this thing. But love has a frequency that,
Love that frequency. It's like a frequency game. Love, compassion.
yeah, yeah, but also fierce clarity. So it's both.
Yeah, you have that, yeah,
Yeah.
clarity. Love clarity. You
Mm.
have good such clarity even on this call. I think many people listening to it will benefit and get great clarity and
I have
really
no
feel.
memory of what's been said, so that's good to hear.
That's what's sensed here. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I feel that too. I'm very sober about empowerment. You know, we need clean mirrors. We don't need people to look at us to fix us. There's nothing
Yeah.
broken.
People want to feel empowered and they deserve
Yeah,
to because they're
yeah,
all the infinite being anyway. That's their
yeah,
true nature.
yeah. That's it. And we need people. We need people to ripple as love
Yes.
out. So needed.
I think
Mm.
we'll end there. Thank you so much. This was a beautiful interview. I really
Oh,
enjoyed it.
thank
I
you
hope
so
many
much.
reach out to you. You're such a beautiful
Uh,
being.
oh, you too, and so much love to your children, three girls.
And for
Oh,
yours as well, for your children.
wow. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Rob. All the
Thank
love.
you. All the love.
Thank
Much love.